Thanks for joining us here to watch the recording of our first in a series of virtual drink events we're hosting. This is the last part of our three-part video where we're joined by Lo Pui-Hua and Linda Ong of Nanyang Technological University to discuss new ways of engaging on-campus talent in the post-COVID world, moderated by Sage co-founder Anna Fori.
So I'd like to bring my two friends from NTU up onto the stage, or the virtual stage as we are. So Lo Pui-Hua, and we also have Linda Ong. So for many of you, I know you're familiar with Pui-Hua. He's the director for the undergraduate services at, the Career and Attachment Office at NTU. And Linda is the director for undergrad services at Nanyang Business School. So again, two people who need very little introduction. So if you guys are ready and unmuted, I've got a couple of questions for you both. So Pui-Hua, perhaps I can kick off with you first of all. So we've seen a lot of changes and a lot of adjustments in the university since February. What's been the philosophy of yourself and NTU, and what have you learned so far that will help you implement or tweak for the upcoming autumn recruitment season?
Anna, that's a great question because every day we are experimenting new things and we are trying to roll out new things. It's not much difference from what is happening in Singapore and unfortunately in different parts of the world. We're trying to retool, rethink, and reconfigure the old traditional way of doing things. So obviously I'm in the university for 12 years and looking after both the undergraduates and the postgraduates. So internships, jobs, and also career preparation and development. So these are probably the 3 points which is my key responsibility. I'll just touch on 3 points because both three areas have been impacted by COVID in the sense of how we are doing. And it's certainly, even post-COVID, it's not business as usual. Let me just give a very quick example. I know my time is limited, so I'll do a very quick statement on these three areas, and afterwards in the Q&A, you can elaborate on that. So for internship, we have been doing this for 30 years. And although I speak from the perspective of NTU, I guess a lot of my friends who is out there from the other Institute of Higher Education will probably resonate with this. So we have been doing internship for a long, long time. And interestingly, when we move from DORSCON yellow to DORSCON orange, overnight we have got split teams and companies are pulling back. Internship companies are pulling back, they want to work from home. And all of a sudden they said, look, we want to terminate the internship. Then we say, why? Oh, because we can't work from office anymore. All of us have been shifting from home and we do not want the student to be on a lurch. Then we say, no. We traditionally, all this while, internship, you have been on sites and then you have to be physically in the office. If you're moving into your homes, the students will be working from home. The students follow you. So overnight, the paradigm shift has shifted. The internship is no longer just purely on a site base. Now we can have internship post-COVID, offline, we call it virtual internship. So very quickly, summarize in summer, in fact, almost all our internship, because we are still on circuit breaker, our internship, we managed to save the internship, put the students onto their summer program, and all will be doing their internship virtually from their home. The company continue to assess them. The company continue to do FaceTime on Zooms. And we've been talking just now about student practicing how to talk, how to speak. Well, this is a great opportunity for the student now to interact with the supervisors and the rest of the teams, not just simply from alone at home, but with the rest. And some of the internships are also overseas, so they also interact. So it's a great thing, at least out of the crisis, we found something good. So for summer or virtual, coming back from 4 to December, again, it depends on the organization and how we progress. And obviously, we hope that things will be back to normal. So post-COVID for internship, we are happy and we are ready for students to have a hybrid with the company. Maybe 1 or 2 days, we still have got business continuities. As we step down, student can work 3 days at home, maybe 2 days in the office, depends on the split. And when we go back to normal work in the site home, then we can do this. But things will not be the same post-COVID. Now you can have a hybrid of working 2 days in the site and then 3 days at home, or half working 2 days in in school and then 3 days. So this is a little bit of internship post-COVID. Then the other part, which is also my role, which is jobs, right? So jobs has all gone virtual. So we were planning for a career fair, and now it has all gone virtual. It's 100% virtual. So we're having our virtual career fair that is in May, and if it continues, the fair will continue to go virtual. And interestingly, companies traditionally have said, look, we need to see the student, whatever, but because of COVID, we are forced to go and talk to students online, doing interview, doing networking. Students and the companies do online chat room. They're doing exactly the same as what we'll be doing afterwards. And now the student becomes to be a bit more comfortable talking, etc. When it comes back to online and offline, yeah, sorry, okay. So we come back to online and offline, yes. But now we have got options for employers. If you can't come to do a physical on-site, we'll do virtual and we assess simply online. So it's great for employers who is out there, who is listening right now. Now you have a choice, whether you want to come or you do not want to come to do virtually, and we can do that, and we leave it to you to decide. Obviously, we all want to have the physical. My last point, then preparations. For a long time, trainers, and that's why there's a lot of you out there, trainers, face-to-face, you want to talk to the student, you have the feel. Same thing, we are career educators, we want to talk to our student. Now with 100% online, we are doing this almost every day, talking to the student, personal one-to-one coaching preparations. The employers, the trainers are doing online. Our industrial partners, our mentors are doing online. So they have this face-to-face interaction. Post-COVID, when we all goes back to school, again, it all depends. And Jonathan was joking with me yesterday when we were just chatting, preparing this session. Very few people want to go to NTU because it's so far away. I say right now, it doesn't really matter. If it doesn't want to come, I bring the student to you. So again, using technology, we will. So let me summarize. Post-COVID is not business as usual. So we'll follow the businesses. You want to do a hybrid of online, offline, we can do that. 100% online, we can do that. 100% offline, we can do that. So life is, hopefully better. So it's a long answer to your question, but I'll be happy to go down to specific drill down in certain areas which the audience are interested to look at. Back to you, Anna.
Thanks, Pui Hua. That's great. And yes, I was saying I got my invite to your virtual career fair only this afternoon. So Linda, what we're seeing at the moment is that the university and government restrictions are changing on a weekly basis. And if we think back even before the new year, some of the universities had, they'd stopped universities going to Hong Kong on student exchange programs. And then what we've seen as well is overseas internships have been recalled. So interested to hear your opinion about what you think will happen this coming autumn hiring season.
Thanks for the question. As you can see, I kind of miss work quite a bit. So you can see my banner, which is all about NTU and NTU colors as well. We have students that actually have been offered graduate positions, and they're supposed to start in Hong Kong for the class of 2020. And once they graduate from school, they are not going to kind of be under the NTU rule. So unless there's some government restrictions on them not leaving the country, of restrictions to let them not leave the country to work in Hong Kong, for instance, we will be allowing them to go to Hong Kong to start their first career, or if it was the UK or the USA. Yeah, so that is actually preserving every job that we have, because the business school has 4,000 students and we graduate 1,300 students. So this is pre-COVID, post-COVID. I think we're going to have a lot of challenges ahead, because of the economy as well, and just trying to get the jobs for the class of 2020 as well. And with the government changes, rules, there's a lot of funding. So SG traineeship is one of the funding, and that's for the class of 2020. There will be 8,000 SG traineeships created for first-time job seekers, and these first-time job seekers will be able to get funding and subsidy from the government. If any of you here are looking for graduates, you could be part of the SG traineeship to offer to the NTU students as well as to the MBS students. At the same time, we found ourselves really busy used to be that summer was a bit of a chill time because everybody went on on an internship, and it's compulsory at the business school, but we are still filling up 30% of our internship positions. The year 2 students have to take these internships before they graduate. So we've been really busy because we've been doing a series of talks on Ask Anything. We have been providing careers clinics for the students for employment and engagement. So that's really keeping us, pretty busy and also engaged as well. And and I think the purpose of today's session is also talking about post-COVID. So I expect that 70% of the employers, barring any, any negative impact, right, will come back to campus, but we are providing for 30% of the employers to want to be continuing their recruitment sessions. And, we can do virtual company visits. I think the students like that. We have started mentoring programs online for our students, and the students can seek mentors from employers, from the industry as well. So we've put together a few mentoring programs for our students so that we keep them continually engaged. And pre or post-COVID, post-COVID, they still continue to be engaged with our employers. So it's not going to be a big, huge shift. And the impact is not like, what happened in February and March when everybody was just, shifting our rules every day.
Thanks. Thank you, Linda. And just one final question to you. So with the students themselves and getting them prepared for current situation, post-COVID, what's changing for you and your team?
Well, okay, when we started to work from home, which we had very little experience, we were wondering, how do interns work from home? That's the first thing to start off with, right? Because we are telling our students, you have to be adaptable, you have to be resilient, and we don't have the experience of working from home, and they are younger people. So we have held a lot of workshops for our students in remote working from home, how to respond on to meetings, how to be engaged on your videos, right, when you're having meetings with your supervisors on internships. And we are also doing a lot of how to have what you call video etiquette, right? And, stand out and be presentable when you're on, working from home. And because they're quite young, 18 to 19, and it's all unprecedented for us, so I have to say that we are holding their hands a little bit, but we are not the experts. So we are seeking a lot of our industry partners to help us as well, and trying to get industry partners who have that experience to work with us to run some of these workshops for our students. And students ain't going anywhere. This is like nobody's going on a graduation trip, nobody's going for a holiday. So they're all kind of stuck in Singapore, and we actually had a lot of good response, but we continue to formulate a lot of workshops to meet with the evolving situation that, is going to come before us and is happening currently.
That's good. That's great to hear. Thank you. Just opening it up to the floor before we go to our networking. If anybody wants to come off mute and has a question for both our guest speakers here, please feel free to do so. I can't see all the candidates, so if there's anyone waving, John, you'll have to let me know.
I'm watching. I'm scrolling through the grid. Yeah. Just one last thing as we wait for questions to come in here. It's important actually to rename yourselves, because the only way that I can send you the feedback survey, which gets you the link to the report, is if I know who you are. So for all of the Galaxy Tab names out there and Galaxy phones, S10s, I love it that you're rocking the Samsungs, but I won't be able to cross-reference that to an email address to be able to send it to you, because we're conscious not to spam everybody. So it'd be important that I can identify you. So VJ, don't know what you stand for. I'll look for the V and the J. Hopefully you're the only one with V and J, but that might be a little tricky for me to find you. So if you have a unique first name, that's good enough. That's good enough, right? Do we have a question? Is it Cheryl?
Yeah,
Cheryl, yeah.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Cheryl.
Yeah, so I have a question for Linda. I think just now she mentioned about organizing virtual office tours for the students. I'm just thinking like, how do you do that? Given that most companies have been working from home, and I'm also thinking about what kind of early engagement programs would students be keen in, because we are also looking into not just canceling or pausing some of the engagement programs we have, but we are thinking of how to move them to a virtual format, and some input will be very useful from NTU.
Linda, did you have a thought on
Linda?
that?
Yeah, there was some disconnect there. So Cheryl, I think, I'm sorry, it says my internet connection is unstable. Anyway, happened now. Yeah, for the company visits, we haven't done any of the company visits, the virtual company visits yet. But post-COVID, we're looking at companies maybe wanting to do a virtual visit, because we're not really sure how many percent will be going back to work. It could be a situation where 50% of the workforce will just be in your company, right? And we can do a virtual one where students can log in, and the 50%, I mean, if your campus recruitment could be at the 50% at the company doing an office tour, right? And simulating a boardroom situation where students then engage with you while they're on their laptops, and in checking out your company. And in terms of your engagement with students, like I say, we have been so busy because of all this providing, students a lot of resources and tools and how to deal with the remote work. We are very happy if you want to come on to a mentoring program. 3 years ago, we actually had a mentoring program already. So I went on to online mentoring program quite early, and I didn't know that it would come to, recently when I sent out to my first year students, that means students who are going into the second year, instead of 50 students that signed up, I had like 100 students, that wanted to have a mentor. Right, and so we do mentoring programs even with companies. So corporates, have a group of people that mentor our students. So I think what we're doing is we can work out with you how to continue to engage, and how to keep students just engage with you during this, especially, in the next 3 or 4 months. And we can customize something for you as well, according to your needs.
Can I just quickly add into to Cheryl, just your point? Remember, I talked about that for the whole summer, we are doing the virtual internship. And I think many of your HR business partners, you are also onboarding full-time hires as well. So if you have got company introductions or things that you want to show virtually, so this is a good example of showing students your companies, your organization virtually. We have been pumping all this content out to the student while they are at home. So this is the best time from now during circuit breaker. You have the full attention of the students. So you pump it to them, they will be able to pick it up, they read it and get them excited. And when we are all back on our streets again, then I'm sure they will want to come and look for you. So that's a practical example of your corporate videos, whether in Singapore or elsewhere, host it, and then the students will be able to do. So that is an example of virtual touring your organization. Thanks.
Thank you, Pui Hua and Linda. That's very positive to hear, because I think while we are thinking or innovating for new ways for virtual, we are also at the same time apprehensive if there will be a fatigue in the students, given that everything is virtual now, and also wondering what will be the take-up rate. But thanks very much. Yeah, I think that's very positive to hear.
Okay. Welcome. Thank you both to Pui Hua and Linda. Really appreciate your time and joining us and just sharing your views with us. So I'm going to hand back to John, who's going to explain to us a little bit about how virtual networking works, and then we can go and chat about these topics, because I can feel there's a lot of I've got lots of questions. So looking forward to the next bit. Over to you, John.
Okay, so before there, this kind of brings us into the formal stuff. So again, another big thanks to all our speakers today: Alvin from GSK, Michelle from Pymetrics, and Pui Hua and Linda from NTU. Just a quick teaser to our next event, right? On May 21st, we've got something really exciting for you. The topic will be virtual internships, a little behind the scenes. And Microsoft has gladly kind of hosted us and decided to open up the kimono, where they will share a little bit of everything they've been thinking about and how things have been going. But at the same time, they'll be bringing some of their friends, Josh McKenzie, who doesn't need a lot of introduction if you are in in this kind of game from DBL. I see Angela right there as well. And Inside Sherpa, who are one of the leading platforms for virtual internships, they'll be along for that session. So make sure you mark that in your calendar, May 21st. And when I do send out the invite, please accept, so we know if we got to go and get more seats. We'll find a way to make sure we don't have anybody frozen out on the outside. So I guess the last thing to wrap up before I explain the mechanisms of the virtual drinks is, just like everybody, Sage has been impacted by COVID-19. We unfortunately had to cancel our flagship conference, which I know is a big highlight for us and for many of you. And this survey and report was kind of our chance to dip our toes into trying something new. Our plan is to do more of these types of things, and even maybe something meatier, and do research on your behalf. So all of your feedback, the good, the bad, and of course the ugly, is going to be really extremely beneficial as we look back on this and figure out what we're going to spend our energy on next. As a nonprofit, membership fees are, of course, the big part of how we sustain ourselves. And we're also looking at revamping our membership offerings. I think this is the best thing about COVID. It forces everybody to kind of look at their assumptions and kind of go, okay, what can we do a little differently? So I'm very interested to talk to whether you're a veteran of the Sage community or whether you're here for the first time, what kind of things you think an association like this could do for you. What would you be interested in hearing more of or less of? Because again, we do this as a passion to serve you, and we want you to influence what we do. So I had personally originally planned to meet as many of you as I could personally in the first quarter. That was my plan, come to you and buy you coffee or whatever your poison was. Obviously that got changed a little bit here. But given the current situation, if you're a little tired of only speaking to your loved ones and your colleagues every day, like I may be a little bit, just projecting a little bit out there. Look, and you need a little social interaction. I'm just a click away, right? Whether it's a Zoom, Teams, Skype, you name it, with a click of a button, I'm happy to have a chit chat with you and to chat more about that. So please don't be afraid, and I'll look for your feedback and your invitation for me to reach out to you in the surveys. Having said that, though, if you do have some excess money that might be sitting around in your events and travel budget that might be a little big and you don't know what to do with that because maybe it's the year end or you're thinking about the next year, I do have a good use for that. I think we've got it. Alvin, do we have it down to 1 or 2 clicks? I think in 1 or 2 clicks, we can figure out how to do something with that excess money. So again, please don't be afraid to reach out on that.
Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't done so already, make sure you check out part 1 of our 3-part series where we share highlights from our COVID-19 impact survey, and part 2 where we discuss virtual assessment centers. Finally, make sure you check out our next event where the topic will be virtual internships. Microsoft will be taking us behind the scenes along with their partners DBL and Inside Sherpa, sharing with us some of the key considerations and trade-offs they had to make, major challenges they had to overcome, and lessons learned.